Hello, it's December 14th, 2022, and the freeze continues in my UK tropical style garden. And if I'm being honest, it's doing my head in now. We've had the last few days have been sort of continuously close to -4 Celsius for me in my garden, which, to be fair, I'm getting off lightly because lots of the UK, especially Scotland, are getting sort of 3 or 4 times as cold as that. And even the south coast are getting quite sort of cold temperatures in -3, -4 Celsius, which usually they get off quite lightly. So I thought I'd have a little go around the garden, sort of show what it's doing. What's really not helping is we've been getting sort of freezing fog for the last couple of days, and everything's just staying frozen through. So this potentially could do some damage, but I'll have a little walk around and show you what's going on. So this is one plant I haven't shown before in my garden, one of my favourites, small palm, Chamaedorea radicalis. No protection here, like I say, -4, -5, but it's quite near to the house, and it has this Trachycarpus and other plants giving it quite a lot of overhead protection. So hopefully it should be all right. It has taken colder, but if it gets much colder later in the winter, then I probably will be wrapping it up. But for now, hopefully all good. It does have a small trunk on it, and it was flowering until this cold come. There you can see a really frosted canna, but that's going to be thrown away anyway. I took the seeds off it. It was a seed grown canna, so I left it out, not being too worried. I've got lots of better varieties. That's a small variegated Euonymus, Persicaria red dragon, Salvia amistad. Not sure if that will recover, maybe right back from the base, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. Felt up the Musa Bijou earlier. Stem's absolutely frozen, so we'll see what happens there. Not even been mulched, so it'll be quite interesting. Doing a video later in the year when this is all sort of passed by. See whether I lost the stem height or whether it's back down to the ground. We'll see. Not too worried, to be fair. Brahea Marta, it's only a small one, but probably should have maybe covered the top over, at least put a bit of fleece around the spear. But it has been dry, so they can take quite a bit of cold. It's the wet and cold that they struggle with, so hopefully all right. Schefflera Delavi, looking a bit droopy, but should be absolutely fine. What else we got in here? Mahonia soft caress. I've got a few of these in the garden because I like to sort of repeat plant. What else? Obviously canna's looking terrible. Torbay Dazzler, Cordyline, hopefully should be all right. Sort of, I don't think it's cold enough to do too much damage, but these prolonged colds just really ain't good. Under here I've got it's been in for a few years, not really ever done much. It's a variegated Nandina. I might move that to a sort of a nicer little spot. Trouble with it there is that's variegated, the Pittosporum's variegated, the Torbay Dazzler's variegated, so probably doesn't give the same sort of look that I was hoping for, so I might move that into a different part of the garden. Oh dear, around here you might see that I have actually added a little bit more protection to a few of my plants. I've added a bit more fleece to my tree ferns as well, because I did come out yesterday afternoon and start to panic a little bit, thinking this just cold is just not going away. So Cycas revoluta, so had a bit of fleece wrapped around it. Realistically, the leaves are the weakest point, so I probably should have, if I had had more fleece, I probably would have fleeced it, tied it up and fleeced it up, but it's took colder and got through all right. But Trouble with these are, once they look damaged for a long time, because they don't really flush again for maybe another year or two. So it really is quite depressing, to be fair, when they get badly damaged by the cold, because you've got to look at it for quite a long time. In there's a very small young Yucca rostrata. These Striatula coming up with all these little spots on. This is going to be moved because I have to keep cutting it back constantly, because it wants to grow right over the lawn. Obviously it's a bigger plant than the space I've allowed for it, but to be fair, this is probably one of my sunniest spots. I haven't really got anywhere else to put it, so, and I want to keep it in the garden. I'm just not really sure where I can move it to. Maybe if I put it in near where the Brahmiamata is, I showed you earlier, it might be all right. So let's go around. All good. Forming yellow wave should be all right. Let's go around. Waggy, still looking absolutely brilliant with the frost on it. Going around here. Canna Black Velvet comes back every year, even with the cold, should be fine. Hercules should bounce back. What we got back here, so we've got a variegated Unanimous, which is in deep shade, but that yellow in it gives a little spring of colour. Not really a plant you want to look at, but it's quite good for giving that sort of denser, more jungle feel. So I'll head round the back here. So I did a previous video where I said under my shelter of my gazebo it stays hopefully a couple of degrees warmer. Well, with these ice days that's not really happening so much now. If I go round here, so it got to minus 3.4 under here, so it is helping a little bit, but not much now. Just change that to Fahrenheit, because I know there is a few people that watch that are from the US. But like I say, more outside of the gazebo. It is getting much colder than that. I've got this quite large Camerops humilis, and this is pretty much in shade all the time, but as you can see, still does kind of good. Actually looks quite healthy. Hopefully it won't spot up too much, being frozen all the time. Black bamboos at the back there, they didn't flower this year, so hopefully they should be good. Now that's my Farfugium and a few of little potted things. Not doing too good, but hopefully should all recover. They've been planted out in my garden before and been absolutely fine with these cold winters, but who knows, in a pot, you know, they could freeze right through. So we'll see. They are tough plants, but I think that's Farfugium japonica giganteum. Yeah, hopefully should be all right. I just haven't got any room in my greenhouse. It's absolutely cram-packed full to sort of get these any sort of reprieve from the cold. So I did add a bit more fleece around my tree ferns, just around the top. This isn't too bad. It helps that that cabin behind it is heated to about 14-15 degrees for my colocaceas with the grow lights on. So it probably is losing a little bit of heat through the single paned glass, even though there is bubble wrap and that inside. But hopefully that maybe keeps this area maybe a degree or so warmer. So going up, Tetrapanax does what it does every year in the cold. Looks terrible, but will recover fine. Let's go around. Fatsia polycarpa. It's looked like that for 2 or 3 days now. It's just not warming up. Nandina. Always stays looking the same pretty much whatever the weather throws at it, with the red berries. Then we've got next to that another Mahonia soft caress, the same, looks good all year round. This larger sort of Torbay Dazzler hopefully should be all right. I haven't protected it, like I say, probably minus sort of 7s, minus 8s would do it quite a bit of harm maybe, but hopefully should be all right. But hopefully, I think we've got another sort of maybe 4 days of it, and then it sort of warms back up and we should get out of the freezing temperatures. What I would say is, for anyone that's been doing this style of garden with these type of plants in the last couple of years, you've probably got off lightly. We've had a couple of really mild winters. A lot of people would be saying with climate change we can now grow this, grow that, but realistically every so often you're going to get these cold spells. I think when I started gardening this, it was just after the worst winter of 100 years in 2010. That taught me, you know, how cold this place can get. And yeah, we have been lucky the last few years, and we've got off with some really sort of mild temperatures, and we've started to think we can grow all these kind of, you know, palms that can sort of take lower temperatures. No, that's wrong. So for instance, like Phoenix Canariensis, Washington Robusta, you know, we're planting them out in the gardens, and I don't tend to plant them in my garden. I like them, but I know that at some point they are going to get badly damaged. If you put a Washington Robusta out in your garden and you're getting these sort of temperatures, there's a good chance that it's going to look terrible for, you know, months and months, until that sort of hopefully lives and grows out. So, you know, this is lesson learned. We're only in December. We've still got January and February to go through. Lots of cold to deal with. You know, keep growing these tropical style plants, but know that you've got somewhere to overwinter them, or you can protect them, because this is just, you know, this is the UK. This is what's going to happen. Every now and again you're going to get hit by real cold spells. Like for me at the moment, I'm a landscape gardener, so landscape gardeners or anyone in construction can't even really be doing any sort of cement work at the moment. Mine sort of, you need it to be like 3 degrees and rising, so it can really affect a lot of things, this cold, and it does come. It's the UK, you know, we have to accept that. So just prepare for it. Don't go filling your whole garden full of tender plants that, come a cold spell like this, you're just going to either lose or not be able to deal with. Because I'll be honest, it's doing my head in. So I'm not sure what else I can really show without just going on and boring everybody. Oh, the tree ferns, I have given more protection. That tree fern's got about 8 foot of trunk, so I decided yesterday I'm going to wrap some hessian around it. I think that's probably, if you're in the US, you probably call it burlap, if I'm right. But come the weekend, when it warms up a bit, that will come back off. Like I say, I don't usually overprotect anything, but I did panic a little bit that it's quite an expensive plant to be left to just freeze through. So the leaves on these will sort of at these temperatures, minus sort of 5s, minus 6s, probably bronze off, blacken off. You might not see it straight away. It may wait till it warms up, and then that's when you tend to see the damage on a lot of these plants. Sometimes you'll have them looking all right for a little while after, and you'll think, oh, I've got away with that. Not a problem if you've protected the crown and the top of the sort of trunk, and you haven't had sort of the extreme weather that maybe Scotland and other places have, that you should get through. It will push out a new flush of fronds come spring, and hopefully it'll all be good for you. I have a nursery not too far away from me that in 2010 they lost, oh, I don't know how many tree ferns, loads and loads, and they had -15s, -16s sort of nearly every night without it thawing out. And they now have the trunks as logs to edge all the path, and it's a good reminder that these cold spells can come, and we're going to have to deal with them, and how well you protect the plants is up to you. So let's just move around here a little bit. Fat's ears still looking really rough, but like I've said in previous videos, no real issue. So round here, which I've never shown before, is my greenhouse. It won't win greenhouse of the year because it looks a bit rough. It's been up quite a few years, but it's actually mainly timber and insulated, so the glass is only on the higher parts. So I'm going to open it. Now they are all just crammed in here at the moment. I'm going to try and shut the door quickly behind me, because at this moment it's only about 1.5 degrees in here, and I have been using the BioGreen heater just to try and keep it frost free. I would do a longer video about what's in there, but literally can't move, so I'll leave it at that. So basically these videos, well, they've turned more into a blog, I think, than they have informational videos. Hopefully that you can sort of see from some of my experiences what you can maybe able to get away with and not. Quite interestingly, for me anyway, my son this morning, 12-year-old, seen me watching a YouTube video of another garden, a tropical garden in the UK. I was watching someone else's video, and he actually said to me, "Why do you keep watching videos when you've been doing it so long? Surely you know it all." Well, no, I don't. These are my experiences, what I've found in these gardens. Yes, I have been on the social media side of the tropical forums for a long time, on the Facebook pages. I've seen, read and learned and watched videos from other people's experience, which helps, but my way isn't the only way. You know, I've got to deal with it with my climate, my temperatures, my soil type, and what suits me. And through watching other people's videos, I was quite surprised, like, to see in the US that there's very similar gardens to ours, growing very similar plants in very similar temperatures, and that is all a learning curve for me as well. And I want to keep learning and evolving and changing this garden. So like I say, that's this garden dealing with this horrible freeze. I think I'm going to leave it at that because I'm cold and I'm almost boring myself, so I think I'm going to leave it at that. If you do want to watch the videos, so I don't like to sort of, I feel a bit stupid sort of saying, oh, subscribe and everything like that, but I never bothered. For nearly 10 years I watched other people's videos, didn't even register, and it weren't until I thought I'd put up a couple of videos myself that I started subscribing to other people, and I found loads of channels that I never even knew existed by doing that, and through people subscribing to me. So it's not just about watching my videos, it's that I can probably click onto yours and have a look what you're doing, which interests me as well as anyone else. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. If you do like the video and you want to like and subscribe, it's up to you. If you don't and I've bored the hell out of you, let's leave it at that. Hopefully the cold hasn't done too much in your garden, wherever you are in the world. And thank you very much.